Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. If you are going to be traveling around the world this year or any year, you're going to probably have to exchange currency or do transactions in a foreign currency that is not your own. So, I want to go through some steps that you may want to consider if you're going to be traveling internationally. So you may need to have some cash on you because not all restaurants, cafes, especially street markets around the world may only take cash. They may not do credit card. So let's talk through this. So as you're looking to get cash, you wonder, where am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? What are the exchange rates? So first things first, go out onto one of these websites. Google's a great one where you can check and see what the currency translation or exchange rate is for your currency to the country or countries that you're going to. So that's important to know up front what the exchanges are. Are you getting money, meaning does your dollar or your euro go further, or does it not go as far when you are considering this travel? So learning about what the exchange rates are before you travel to certain countries is important, so you know what you're getting when it comes to credit card transactions or how much cash you need to get out in order to make the trip a success. So read ahead, find out the exchange rates, use Google, use a couple of these other sites. You can't go wrong. Next, if you're able to, get the foreign currency from your bank. Sometimes you have to order it 2 weeks to a month in advance. Not in all places do they do this, and not all banks don't have all currencies, but depending on where you are in the world, you might be able to contact your bank and say, I want a certain amount of this, euros or coronas or dollars, and see if they can get them and how long it would take. And the reason I say that is, generally speaking, the exchange rate through your bank is often a little bit better as far as the fees go than if you were to use an ATM in a foreign country or other things that I'm going to get to later. But contacting your bank, that way, when you get off the plane, if you already have some cash in that particular currency, you're good to go. You don't have to try to go through any of these other steps. So, number two, try to use your bank. See if they can get you the currency. Probably 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time, you need to contact them. Next up, if you don't get currency and you get off the plane and you're in a foreign country, you can always check out at foreign airports. There's generally an exchange office that will say, here's what today's exchange rate is for several, let's say the top 10 or 12 currencies, and they'll tell you what they're offering. And it's not bad. It's not often great because you're at the airport. They kind of got you in some respects, but it's also not as bad as some of the kiosks throughout some of the cities that you travel to. So doing the airport exchange office, you may want to look and see. That way, before you leave the airport, you already have cash on hand. Maybe you're using it for a taxi and you don't want to use your credit card. Or if you're going to be going to certain places where you know you're going to need cash, that might be a good step to be able to use the airport exchange offices. Next up, now this is where you can use your credit card when you know you can. Use a bank ATM in that particular country. So obviously your bank is not going to be in a foreign country, most likely, but if you go to an actual bank ATM or to a bank and look to get cash out, that would be the next best way when it comes to the exchange rate and the fees, so you don't get raked over the coals when you come back from your vacation. Go, gosh, I paid all this extra money and charges and fees. You want to make sure that if you're going to a bank or using an actual bank ATM, that is the next best way to go. Number four, to be able to get cash out if you need to. Number five, when you can use a credit card, use it. And that way it's easy, it's seamless, you don't need cash at all. And what I would recommend, from our experience being Americans living in Europe and traveling around the globe, we found that when they charge our credit card, they'll ask us, do you want to charge it in American dollars or the foreign currency of the country we're vacationing in. And we always go with the foreign currency. So we were just in Poland, so we ended up making sure that all of the transactions were Polish, not American. So that way we actually didn't have to pay certain foreign transaction fees. Many credit cards, and I can't speak for around the globe, but especially if you're coming from the United States, many of them waive foreign transaction fees. Maybe not in all instances, but many of them. And if you're traveling abroad and you don't have a credit card, you may want to look to find one and secure one that doesn't charge foreign transaction fees. So for us, when we've traveled, we use a credit card. When we do use a credit card, we are doing the transaction in, again, that home country's currency, not our own. We just get better, lower fees and virtually no foreign transaction fees on that. Doesn't mean that there might be some exchange rate issues, but it's as good as we can do without using just flat out cash. So it's a good way to travel around, but in most cases you're going to need cash. What I would say with number 6, this last thing, do not use ATMs that are not affiliated with a particular bank. Would stay away from those. So for example, in Europe, there's something called Euronet. It's an ATM that's in almost every country. They charge very high fees. They don't give you a really good exchange rate. And along with that, most of you that are traveling abroad, you're going to be in near street food, old town, tourist attractions, those types of things around the world. You're going to want to be cautious of currency exchange offices in these established high tourist areas. The exchange rate is usually terrible compared to when you are on Google looking at what the exchange rate is or talking to your bank about the exchange rate. And then secondly, what they're charging you in fees, you're getting so much less. It's I won't say it's extortion because these shops are allowed to exist, but you'll find many YouTubers that have gone and talked about these high fees to try to get some of these places shut down. So I would highly recommend do not use a third-party ATM that is not affiliated with a bank just because of the exchange rate and the fees. And I would not use a currency exchange office, especially in a high tourist area where if you're going to use it, just realize that your exchange rate is going to be the worst it can be and the fees are going to be as high as they can be. So I hope this information helps you as you're trying to travel abroad. Please, if you need to use cash, I've listed out some steps that you can think about as far as getting cash in that home currency, and then lastly, what to avoid at the end of this video. As always, thank you so much for watching and enjoy your travels.